The Atlanta Falcons last season were second in the NFL in rushing yards per game. And with them drafting Bijan Robinson, this possibly could be the best rushing attack in the NFL this upcoming season. And with the Atlanta Falcons, with how good their offensive line is going to be, the talent that they got at the running back position, and how good the rushing attack is expected to be in 2023, can the ground game carry the Atlanta Falcons to the playoffs this season? Now, when you look at the Falcons' schedule, right, they don't really play too many teams that had great run defenses last season. As a matter of fact, the 3 teams on their schedule this year that had good run defenses were the Tennessee Titans, who were the best in the NFL at stopping the run last year, and the Washington Commanders and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were on the outside looking in of top 10 teams against the run. And you're in a division where the 3 other teams that you play twice this year, their run defenses aren't really all that great going into this year. And for the Atlanta Falcons, you have Desmond Ridder at QB. You do have some skepticism about him going into this year. Is he good enough to lead the Falcons to the postseason? Now, really, all Desmond Ridder needs to do is be a great game manager and take care of the football, and the Falcons should be in the playoff conversation, because this run game is deadly. And although this is a passing league, you do need to have a solid passing attack to win the Super Bowl. You don't need to have a great passing game to make it to the postseason. As a matter of fact, I think that the Atlanta Falcons have a really good and concrete formula when it comes to what they need to do this season to make it to the playoffs. And that's run the damn football until you can't run it no more. Bijan Robinson is one of the best running backs to come out of the NFL draft since Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott. He's going to be one of those running backs that year one, right out the gate, he should have a really big impact, and he probably should be top 10 at his position by the end of this season. You also have Tyler Algier, who was really good during his rookie season last year for Atlanta, and you still do have old man Cordell Patterson back there. So there is plenty of talent in this running back room for the Atlanta Falcons. And with this running game being highly effective, it should allow them to take a lot of time off the clock, have long, drawn-out possessions that tire out the opposing team's defense and keeps their defense off the field, which is something that the Atlanta Falcons didn't really have good play out of last year. Now, their defense, they spent a lot of money in free agency to improve that side of the football. They got a couple of draft picks that I like on that side as well. With this run game, if it ends up being fantastic this year like it was last year, their defense should improve, not just because of the acquisitions that they made, but the fact that they're going to have more time to sit and rest on the sidelines to recover. And the schedule that they have, as I mentioned earlier, isn't full of teams that are going to have great defenses. They're not full of teams that have historically great run defenses outside of the Tennessee Titans. Now, of course, a lot of those teams probably could turn it around this year, but judging from what those teams currently have on their roster at the moment, I don't really think the Atlanta Falcons rushing attack is going to be going up against too many stout run defenses, especially in the AFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we don't know how great their run defense is going to be. Their run defense isn't going to be bad, but it's not going to be good enough to be able to shut down the Atlanta Falcons rushing attack. Same thing with the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. Now, you can say, well, JT, if the Falcons run the football at a really high level, all teams are going to do is go all in to stop the run and force Desmond Ridder to throw the football. And even though you do have a point with that, you got to remember, the best teams that are elite running the football can run the football when their opponents know that they want to run the football. That shows how dominant you are when it comes to your rushing attack. When the other team knows you're going to run the football and you can still rip off 5-6 yards per carry, that just shows dominance. And the Atlanta Falcons run game if it ends up being as dominant as what it was last year, with better quarterback play and better play from the defense, this is a team that could be in the conversation to get one of the last spots in the postseason in the NFC conference. The 7th seed, the 6th seed, teams like Atlanta, I think, are normally in that kind of category. 6, 7 seed, barely make it into the postseason, but they normally are teams that are really good running the football and don't have spectacular quarterback play. And I think that's what the Atlanta Falcons are going to be this year. And even if the Atlanta Falcons have some games where they struggle running the football, as long as Desmond Ridder can give you slightly above average quarterback play, you should be able to win those games that you got to go ahead and win behind the arm of Desmond Ridder, because you do have two talented players for him to throw the football to, Kyle Pitts and second-year wideout Drake London. So Desmond Ridder, he doesn't need to do a whole lot for the Atlanta Falcons to make the postseason this year, because the way their schedule looks, they're not playing a lot of teams that are going to be great against the run defense. Great against the run this year. So they're going to be able to run the football, control the clock, and they're going to be able to play to their strength. Now, if they end up being put in situations where they got to come back from behind, I don't think that's going to vote well for them, because anytime you have a team that's identity is running the football, a good way to stop the run other than doing it physically on the field is by being able to get them down multiple possessions. The Atlanta Falcons go down 3-4 touchdowns, the game pretty much is over. Desmond Ridder has to make sure that he takes care of the football, because he isn't the kind of quarterback early into his career that's going to be good enough to overcome mistakes late in the game. That's the problem with what the Atlanta Falcons dealt with last year with Marcus Mariota at QB. He was too reckless and couldn't take care of the football in late game situations. The Atlanta Falcons, this run game is going to be great. And they most definitely should be able to at least be a 7th or 6th seed in the NFC postseason this year, as long as Desmond Ridder can give them serviceable quarterback play. The thing with the Atlanta Falcons is that this run game is going to be really hard to stop with how good this offensive line is and how good their running backs are. And Arthur Smith has really good schemes when it comes to cooking things up in the run department. So can the Atlanta Falcons run game carry them to the postseason? It most definitely can. As long as Desmond Ridder is taking care of the football, he's being a good game manager. I think that this team has the formula to be a 6 or 7 seed in the NFC come playoff time.